Hello and thank you for joining me on another very lovely day in my garage. It's sort of clean now. I did clean up a lot of this clutter that was strewn around here, and I got an extra car in here. Well, not an extra car, it should have two cars in here by default. So the Aston is quite small. There's a lot of space around this car, and the Mercedes is, well, it's a long car. Let's just say that. There's not a ton of space behind the car or in front of the car, but yeah, we're gonna be working on that today. And it's an issue that's been plaguing me for quite some time because for a while, the Mercedes is a quiet car. It's a very refined car. You're not supposed to feel that it's you're not supposed to feel if the engine is actually on, but in this one, it felt like sort of like a cammed Corvette or something. It was very sort of loppy, idle, and I tried everything. I tried to do the spark plugs, oil changes, all that stuff. I didn't know what the problem was. I thought it was a misfire. It's not. So apparently, the issue with this car, it's a very common issue. It's that the crank pulley or the harmonic balancer as it's known in Mercedes circles, that starts to deteriorate. There's a rubber element inside the crank pulley. I'll show you the new one I got, but yeah, there's a rubber element inside, and what that does is dampen vibrations. And over time, that rubber basically just wears away to the point where it doesn't dampen anything, and the engine's idling, and it's just the engine's doing this. So what I'm going to do is I got a bunch of specialty tools, and I'm going to be taking apart this crank pulley. This is a particularly common thing to go on these 5.0. I think it's an M113 engine. I probably should know this, but yeah, M113 single overhead cam 5.0. And the issue lies in the crank pulley down there. You can see it. I'm going to try to, right there, that's the crank pulley. So what happens is there's rubber on the face of this and actually going all the way inside, and that rubber deteriorates over time. And as you can tell, if it's not dampening anything, this engine's gonna just be doing this. So I got a brand new one. Now this is not some eBay part. I know some guys were complaining that I was putting eBay parts in this Mercedes. This is an OEM Mercedes part. And I also got a new bolt, new crank bolt, which is an OEM Mercedes bolt. Bought them from ECS Tuning, and this should work wonderfully. Now you can see that this inner part is rubber, and that's the rubber that will dampen any vibrations. And I think that rubber is missing from mine. But in addition, I also bought this. This is a crank pulley tool. And what it does is it kind of slots in here like that. And then I put this, a 27mm socket, in there, get the bolt loose. Whoops, probably should back up a little bit. I'll get the bolt loose with this and a 1/2-inch breaker bar, and hopefully be off to the races. So it should be easy-ish. I don't foresee any problems because this car doesn't really have any issues with rust. So, fingers crossed. But yeah, let's get dirty. Now, here's the engine a little bit more naked. It's actually really easy to take off the air filter assembly. You literally just pull up. You can do it with no tools whatsoever, which is pretty cool considering that this is made by Germany, and Germany doesn't really engineer things to be easy to take off. But Mercedes, that's a +1 for you. What we have to do here is take off the Serpentine Belt, and that's this. So that's sort of, it's not hard. It's a little bit finicky, but all we have to do is there's a bolt underneath this pulley. And what we're going to do is it's a 17mm bolt. And we're going to put a socket onto that 17mm bolt. And we're going to be tightening it. And that will release the tension, or it'll put tension on the tensioner, and then it'll release this belt. Okay, now that we got that off, there's nothing stopping us from just taking off this crank pulley. And it's exactly the same way that I showed you before. You just take this and hopefully kind of snake it in there. if I can do it with one hand. A little bit more difficult than I thought. And I got it on there. So what I'm thinking is this, when I turn it, it's going to go into this little groove right there and allow the crank to stop. I think that's the theory behind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a nice big crank on my big ass breaker bar. let's hope it's not too stubborn. Alright, straight away you can see the difference between old and new. The old one, actually it's not in horrible shape, but you know, this car does have about a little more than 100,000 miles on it, and you see it's like cracked, and I think it's even on the back there's like a little part where it's like separated right here, and this is just all brand new. Looks like it's supple, and there is no separation anywhere on the back. So hopefully this should solve our problem. Well, with vibration at least. If it doesn't, then I mean, if it doesn't, then at least I put a OEM Mercedes part on a Mercedes. So no harm, no foul. Before I put the new crank pulley in, here's another thing that you can change. So here is a front main seal for the car. And it's really easy to pop out. All you have to do is put a screwdriver in there and just kind of pry it out. I bought a brand new OEM seal. Again, stuff like this, you can splurge a little bit and get the OEM parts. It's not much more expensive than what you get on eBay or Amazon or whatever. And you know that it's going to be good quality. So I'm going to pop that in. What I'm going to do is just put a little film of oil around there and in here, and just lightly tap it. You know, it's just a regular oil seal, nothing special. Just make sure, you know, you don't distort it, don't hit it too hard, but just lightly tap it in, and everything should be good to go. So there is the new crank pulley. Hopefully it shouldn't give us any more vibration, and should get this engine running very, very smoothly. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna put the Serpentine Belt, I'm gonna figure out how that all goes. I'll put it back on and I'll start the car. Well, that was pretty easy. So now comes a moment of truth. Let's open up the garage door and start it up. All right, here goes nothing. Right off the bat, that is a lot smoother. I can barely tell the engine's on. I know you guys can't really tell, and one of my light bulbs is apparently out, but yeah, wow. That is a big, big difference. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm gonna let the car warm up a little bit, just so maybe, you know, if there is a vibration later on. Well, actually, let me rev it just a little bit. I know the car's still cold, but it's relatively warm here. You see it's 75 degrees. Oh, that's That is so much better. That is, oh my god. That is a night and day difference. Before, it used to do this like loppy, like, and now it's, wow. This is, it's very luxurious. Okay, I've been going on a little too long about this, but yeah, this is a big deal, guys, because it's been, you know, really bothering me for a long time. Alright guys, that is job done for the crank pulley on my Mercedes S500, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm glad I could share that with you. I think the next video I'll be working on this car, it'll be a little more maintenance, and then that'll get ready for the extensive modification. Actually, it might be modification on that car. Who knows? Maybe I'll leave you in suspense. Maybe it's something on this car. I know you guys wanted to see more of this car. Well, some of you did. But I am going to be modifying it. I did buy some stuff to modify this, and it has arrived. Might be my Aston, might be my Mercedes, might be one of my 2 Lexuses, it might be my wife's Hyundai. But I think you should stay tuned for what I have in store. I think you'll like it. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you liked the video. If you didn't like the video, unsubscribe button, unlike button is right there. Nobody's stopping you. I like to hear feedback anyway. Yeah, stay tuned for all my car antics and you know, much more. I'll see you again next time.